It is Testimonial Monday, and I'm so excited for our topic today: domestic violence more than a month. We heard from Roman with the drive at 5. We're asking that you keep it right here on Intellectual Radio and allow us to feed your brain. The show has been sponsored by Emmanuel Church of God in Christ, located at 3058 West Van Buren in Chicago, with Pastor Michael Richardson. And we are still practicing social distancing. You can catch the Word of God every Sunday morning at 10:15 a.m. on our Facebook page, Emmanuel Kojic. The quote of the day is: never forget that walking away from something unhealthy is brave, even if you stumble a little on your way out the door. For those of you who are going to be listening in on any type of social media, I ask that you please like and share the show. Invite somebody else in on the show so that they can get this powerful information. October was declared as National Domestic Violence Awareness Month in 1989. Since then, October has been a time to acknowledge domestic violence survivors and be a voice for its victims. Domestic violence is prevalent in every community and affects all people, regardless of age, socioeconomic status, sexual orientation, gender, race, religion, and nationality. Physical violence is often accompanied by emotionally abusive and controlling behavior as part of a much larger systematic pattern of dominance and control. Domestic violence can result in physical injury, psychological trauma, and even death. The devastating consequences of domestic violence can cross generations and last a lifetime. Joining me right now on Warriors Talk is none other than domestic violence coach and survivor, Lady Joy. Hello, Lady Joy.
Hi, Lady Rachel. It's so nice being with you again.
So excited that you are my special guest on today. I know you have a powerful message for the people, and I'm just ready to hear your experience, your wisdom, and also some solutions that you have. So, welcome.
Yes, thank you again.
So, I want to first start off with, who is Lady Joy?
Lady Joy with hat, but the one that I'm currently wearing is that of an advocate for those who have lost their voice, don't know that they have a voice, their voice has been stolen. I'm going to help them get that thing back. So I am an advocate for domestic violence. I'm going to be the voice for the voiceless because I have to find my voice again. And thankful to God that I have done that because I stayed in a little bit of an isolated place for over the last 2 years. And so I'm back.
And that was my next question: was what was your connection to domestic violence? Like, why are you so passionate about this?
So many that know me because of what I went through over the last 4 years, but it's not even that in its totality. I've been acquainted with, and that's my nice way of saying it. I've been acquainted with domestic violence since I was a child. 7 years old, I was child sexual assault by my biological father. As an adult, I went through a marriage for 25, more than 25 years. That was full of emotional, verbal abuse. And then this last round of domestic violence, I physically got beat. So I've lived in every area of domestic violence, and I know it well.
Wow, so a lot of people today can benefit from your experience on today. So I appreciate you just being vulnerable and just being open to sharing with the listeners on today.
Right.
I did read that on average, nearly 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner. And sometimes, we love these people. So, we're not saying
Mm-hmm.
that, we go through these situations to where, these are people that we trust and people that we love, people that we look up to, and people that we feel should have our best interests at heart. So,
Mm-hmm.
just being able to just sit here and to share. So I appreciate you sharing. I am getting comments from, hey Henry, how are you doing? Mylia said your guest has an echo. We already know. So my next question for you is, I know you talked about, well, for me, you talked about drive. So I just want the audience to know, what does drive mean and how can they be a part of it?
So DRIVE is an acronym for, and I hear that echo too, y'all. I don't know what to do about it, but DRIVE is an acronym for domestic relationships involving violence exposed.
Okay, and so in this is domestic violence survivors. Is everybody a survivors, or are there counselors and individuals that can help those that are going through?
We have counselors, pastors, we have life experiences, which I believe was the best teacher of all. Good knowledge is great, but when you have a person that's been through it and knows what it feels like, I just think that's the best teacher. Which is why I come with a book, because I don't do this just for me. I'm not doing it because I'm trying to put anybody under the bus. I'm not doing it because I want to get back at anybody, because that's some of the things I've been accused of. But I do it because for so long we haven't, before 1989, the authorities didn't recognize domestic violence as something that was isolated. I remember seeing a video about a woman who got extremely, was, her ribs were broken. She had an eye that was swollen, black, red, and blue. And they told her, well, you just picked the wrong partner. They didn't start recognizing domestic violence until 1989. So before that time, you were just out there. And the only way that violence was recognized is you were being murdered, which is crazy to me. So I'm grateful that now there's this level of domestic violence that we recognize now today as just that, where it extends from child sexual assault to verbal abuse to emotional abuse and physical abuse. So we now have all those aspects that are recognized as domestic violence, and I'm so glad about that, because that is going to save somebody's life.
I totally agree with you, and that's what this is all about: is helping to save somebody's life by giving them this important information. So, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take a short break, and I will be right back. So don't go anywhere. Facebook, if you're listening, we are talking about domestic violence more than a month with my special guest, Lady Joy, who is a survivor coach as well as a survivor. So don't go anywhere.
Come on. Come on. Yeah. I see you, baby. Get your shine on. Get your glow up. One time. For the babies on the south side, the east side, the west side, the north side, Chi-town. Hey. Oh. There's a song in your song. It can flow from short to long. In your song, you are the story. Getting past your past, struggling with your past. It'll pass. There, over there, you're torn from where and there. It'll bear. You get there. I know what I know. I suffered more than you know. Oh, in the cold, in the cold. There's always something inside of you. It makes you beautiful, makes you beautiful, it makes you be the sun that makes the flowers grow, makes the flowers grow. Be the spirit child with you that's meant to grow. There's always something inside of you, something inside of you that makes you beautiful, makes you, yeah. Be the sun that makes the flowers grow. Be the spirit child within you that's meant to glow. Find it in the afterglow. Glows from the bellows of your soul. And you know it's what you put here for. And it's clear, so clear, the reasons why you're here. It is. You can change the atmosphere. There's something incredible within the meeting of the minds. Like, if you were been kind, spare our brother a dime. He can take a red line to 100 lifetimes. And you wouldn't mind it because God had already prepared for you a place to be ageless, where you can brush your face with lilies and sing songs of the keeper. There's always something inside. There's always something inside of you. It makes you beautiful, makes you beautiful. Be the sun that makes the flowers grow. Be the spirit child within you that's meant to grow. There's always something inside of you. Inside of you. It makes you beautiful, makes you beautiful. Yeah. Be the sun that makes the flowers grow. Be the spirit child within you that's meant to glow. Find it in the afterglow. The glow of love is in you now. Shine like the stars do. It's in the cards for you. You can go beyond the deep blue. No bars are set in the conquest. Illuminate the sky in scarlet hues if you believe you are the truest. If you are Savior or Judas, your heart will speak what your truth is. Now let the chatter be the catalyst. Let it fuel the music. Don't adjust your volume, say it loud and let them hear you, then smudge the residue. And whatever you did, you can undo. Black gold is attainable. History is unchangeable. But until time runs out, the future is changeable. Bring forth the balm and let the healing heal on. Time moves today and tomorrow is already gone. Transcend the stratosphere and get your glow up. Transcend the stratosphere and get your glow up.
And we are back. This is Lady Rochelle, author and founder of Warriors Talk, where we are changing lives one warrior at a time. And I have with me Lady Joy, domestic violence survivor and coach. Hello, Lady Joy.
Hi.
Awesome. We can hear you loud and clear.
Great.
So before I took a break, you were talking about the drive, and I just want to make sure that people are able to get that information so that they can use it or they can pass it on to the people in their life that they love. The purpose of
Yeah,
drive.
so again, drive is domestic relationships involving violence exposed. And what we're doing with Tribe is we're trying to help those that are rebuilding their lives after domestic violence. We are actually at the end of this month, or near the end of the month, we will be hosting a live Zoomathon where we will be collecting donations that will help us do just that. help a woman or even a man, because what we fail to know about domestic violence is it affects all of us. It affects men, women, and children. It has no race, it has no creed, it has no religion attached to it. It just affects everybody. And so we want to do our part. I feel it my responsibility, having been through all levels of domestic violence, to give back. It's not something that I wanted. It's something that I felt like God was just kept pulling out of me, because I did have those experiences, those journeys through the different levels of domestic violence. So I almost even, as you said, feel like an expert in the subject matter, because I know what it feels like on every level of that. And when I was a child, I didn't really understand, but as an adult looking back, even the time as I was a child going through it, I now know what those feelings were that I was going through, because I still, up until the last couple of years, I was still watching myself several times a day because I felt nasty, by what happened to me as a child. So God is going to help us do some extraordinary things, some things that we haven't seen done. Again, I feel like I thank the world that they recognize domestic violence in the month of October. But for me, that's just not enough, because every 3 seconds, I think I read just today that every 3 seconds a woman is being beaten by a loved one. And that's not to mention the men that are affected by it or the children. That's just women alone. And to me, that number is very staggering, is very gut wrenching, and I want to see that number decrease tremendously. So that's what Drive is going to help us to do. We may never see the eradication of domestic violence, but we will see the numbers drop.
Amen. And with programs like yours, I believe that that will happen. Can you just, Lady Joy, just take us on a little bit of your journey, um, as to your passion when it comes to this?
My passion, again, it comes from everything that I've been through when I didn't have a voice to speak. Again, I went through child sexual assault by my biological father from age 7 to 13. I didn't know what to do with that. I was a baby when that was happening to me. I look at my 3 children when they were coming up in age, and they were babies at the age of 7 to me still. So I grew up through that, not really knowing how to be a woman. I was put in a woman's position at a very early age. So I knew nothing about being a woman. Then I got pregnant by my now ex-husband at age 16, knew nothing about being a mother. And then I became a wife at 17, still not knowing anything about being a wife. So I was kind of pushed into those things and had to learn along the way. And surely I made a lot of mistakes along the way. I don't bear all the responsibility on any one person. We just miss all of the steps to that we should learn in a natural situation. In that situation of domestic violence, we miss a lot. And so my passion comes from being I hate to use the word victim, so I'm going to say a survivor or a rebuilder. You'll hear me say that a lot, a survivor or a rebuilder, someone who's rebuilding their life. My passion comes from the time when I had no voice. And I know that there are many women and men right now who don't have a voice. They have lost their voice. It's been beaten out of them, or they just don't know that they can speak up for themselves anymore. So I want to help restore that. I want them to have the liberation that I have with the joy that's on the inside of me, because joy is not just my name. It is really what I possess. And like faith, and you'll hear me say this a lot too, like faith, I think God gives us a measure of joy, like he gives us a measure of faith. And we're supposed to let that thing grow within us. We're supposed to spread it. We're supposed to lean on it. We're supposed to use it to help us get through the daily struggles. So that's one thing that I do for people. I help them find their joy, something that the world ain't giving, and surely we ain't gonna let them take it away.
How important is it to you? How important was faith before domestic violence for you, and then after?
Faith for me before faith has always been something I have known about from the time I was a little girl. Faith the size of a mustard seed. In fact, my family was rooted and grounded in the church. A lot of this stuff goes on in the church. We were at church every day, every week, every weekend, and it just seemed like we lived at the church. So I knew the scriptures, and knowing that we're supposed to lean not onto our own understanding and acknowledge God and everything that we do. I knew that level of faith. That I was doing nothing in and of my own strength. I wasn't surviving in and on my own. I knew that there was God who was sustaining me and keeping me even as a child. So faith has always been very important to me. And even after all of the stuff I've been through, because my journey is not just riddled with domestic violence, it's riddled with physical illness. So I have applied faith to everything, and my faith has grown. And if you know anything about the mustard seed, it grows into the humongous plant. That's how our faith is supposed to grow. Our faith is supposed to grow so large in and through us that we don't waver when things come to knock us down. We don't waver when things get rough. We don't waver when things start hurting us to our core. But we just lean and pull on that faith, and it will get us through. And that's what I still believe on a greater level now. My faith is the size of a mustard seed, grown.
I can hear the passion in your voice, Lady Joy, as you talk about this subject. So I know that it is near and dear to your heart. If you are just tuning in, this is Warriors Talk with author and founder Lady Rochelle. We are talking about domestic violence more than a month with domestic violence coach and survivor Lady Joy. Now, Lady Joy, one of the things I know that some domestic violence or victims often run into are barriers when it comes to just trying to survive.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about, or what kind of inspiration can you give someone to helping to remove some of these barriers?
I want to say tonight, and I'm going into my own show because I have a show that I'll be doing in just a little while once we finish here. And one of the things I wanted to tell the people, and I'll share with your audience, is that you have to shift your mindset to get through the barriers because they are going to come and they are going to come hard. So you have to be doing something to counteract all of those things. So the first thing you're going to need to do is you got to speak life. Your abuser may want to tell you, you ain't nothing, you ain't no good, you ain't never been no good, ain't nobody gonna want you, don't nobody want you but me. They plant those seeds of doubt, those seeds of negativity inside of us. But we have to counteract those things by speaking life over ourselves. We have to speak lives over our situation, over our circumstances, so that we can keep moving further. Then we have to get outside of ourselves and start helping others. We got to help other people in the midst of what we're going through. We have to leave and take a break from our lives and go help somebody else through their situation. And thirdly, I would say, you got to involve others in your life journey, your journey. See, your abuser wants you to stay quiet. They want you to feel isolated. They want you to feel like ain't nobody, you ain't got no friends. You ain't got no family. Your family don't want you, but they have planted that inside your head and want you to believe that thing so that you can be solely dependent on them. And I want to speak to somebody tonight to say, don't let that happen. Speak to yourself, help others out, involve others in your journey. And this one right here, I had the hardest time doing that F. That F is forgive yourself. You have to forgive yourself because we take on, as victims, as survivors, as rebuilders, we take on this self guilt where there needs to be none because you've done nothing to warrant someone beating the crap out of you. You've done nothing to warrant somebody talking down to you like you the scum of the earth. You have done nothing to deserve that type of behavior at all. So I want to erase that from the mindsets of people that will sit and say, I must have did something for him to make him upset. No, he was already going to be upset, whether it was with you or somebody else, because he needed to fix something that was negatively done to him on the inside of him that's still killing and eating him up. And he's trying to get it out by taking it out on you, which is the wrong way. Because there is never a reason for anybody to be hit. No reason at all. And then I would say that P is you got to just trust God. You have to trust the higher power, because He is the one that allows you to move, breathe, and have your being. He is the one, when you put Him in His rightful place, He will lead, guide, and direct your path. And that is what He wants for you. He wants to be the navigator of you. He wants to see you rise up and be great. He wants to see you do well, because you belong to the Most High God, not your abuser. So that's how you shift your mind. Seek life, help others, involve others, forgive yourself, and trust God. Trust your Creator
Wow.
to get you through. Yes.
That is powerful. That is powerful. What came to mind when you were talking was self love. Like, how important is self love going through something like this?
Self-love is the most important piece, I believe. And somehow, I believe I lost self-love to be a person that ended up in a domestic violence relationship, because I was always a confident person. I was always, very, I won't say cocky, but I just was confident in my skin. But going through just not the physical part, but the emotional part, the verbal part, the sexual part, all of that over time, and it all culminated over the last 2 years, because I haven't done a lot. I haven't been out in the forefront of anything, because I had lost my voice. I had lost my confidence. And I would even go as far to say that my joy was a little bit shattered at that time. And I had to pull the pieces back together, all the pieces. I was broken. And I had to pull all those pieces back together again. My love for my abuser, I had the hardest time making that feeling stop. And that's what people don't understand, because I was one that didn't understand once upon a time that when, I would always ask questions, why did she stay? Why? Me and my sister were just talking about this morning. Why did she stay? Well, don't she know her worth? Don't she know she's better than this? Don't she know she can get a better man? I just couldn't understand why a woman would stay in a domestic violence situation where she's getting beaten, until I became the woman. And that's in my next book. Y'all have to read about that in the story. We're also doing a Thrive book, domestic relationships involving violence. We're doing a book. I have some authors, some amazing authors that will be writing with me. And this won't be the first volume. This will be the first volume, and we're going to do up to 7 volumes. So I'm looking for authors who want to write and tell their story on a platform, not to get back to somebody, but to help somebody out. That is the spirit of why we are doing what we are doing. I know many people probably want me to shut up. Actually, I know they do, because people have said things to me. You're ruining a black man. You're tearing down another black man. No, I'm not going to bear that responsibility. You don't get to say that to me, because he did that. I didn't ask to be beaten. I didn't ask to be cussed out and called all kinds of manner of names and all kinds of evil being done to me. I didn't ask for that, nor did I provoke it. For those that are wondering, no, I did not provoke it.
There was a study that was done, and it said that They found that 90% of the abusers do not have a criminal record, and the abusers generally are law-abiding citizens outside of the home. And most people love this person, like they in the light outside of them abusing you. People gravitate to this person. They love this person, and they look at it like, how can this be? Because it seemed like it's a totally different person from the person they know versus the person that is the abuser.
Hmm. Very true. Very true. Because the moment that I recognized, because I didn't always know that I was in a domestic violence relationship. I learned that over the course of the last several years. And then I realized that I had been a part of domestic violence my whole life. And I will definitely echo you and concur with you. That is definitely what happens. Most abusers explode out of control with you, the victim, but can maintain exposure around other people that respect them, other people that love them. I had a young lady who will remain nameless, but come to me after I exposed the abuse that I was going through, and everyone knew who I was dating at the time, to tell me that she didn't believe me because he was just the nicest, sweetest man, and he was. How do you think I fell in love with him? Because he was nice and sweet and gentle for the first 6 months.
And
So they do fool people. They do act differently in front of work associates or outside friends or even family members, you know. And then in the dark, they explode and they become the Incredible Hulk. That is how I defined it. Because to me, you're this amazing person. You know, the Hulk was David. I can't remember his last name, but the Hulk was David, and he was a genius. He was a scientific man, right? But when he got angry, but the difference between the Hulk and an abuser is the Hulk was getting angry against criminals, you know, and your abuser is taking their anger out on you, their frustration out on you, their lack of finances out on you, their lack of respect in other areas on you. But I will say the Hulk is real.
the Hulk is real. Wow. As you was talking, I was thinking about the many different ways that an abuser harms his victim. Like you said, you didn't even know that you were in a domestic violence situation. And I think a lot of people listening may feel the same way. You're like, oh no, that's just the way he is. They feel like it's normal because it happens to them all the time. They feel like it's normal. But if you were to tell it to somebody, they'd be like, girl, he's abusing you. You're like, no, that's just the way he is. So it's many different ways. People always think of the physical when you think about abuse. That's the first thing come to mind. But there are other ways. There are other ways that you can be abused by someone. And there's physical, there's sexual, you have verbal, emotional abuse, mental, psychological, financial. There are different ways that somebody can be abusing you and you not even know what's going on. And
Right.
that's why it's important to have people that you really that trust you and will believe what you say, because sometimes people will brush you off, and then that kind of makes you close down and not really say anything to nobody else because you feel ashamed. You're like, oh, they're not gonna believe me anyway. So I think you just kind of keep that to yourself, until that time comes for you to really get out of there.
Hmm. Definitely. For me, I kept the secret for many reasons, and I think different women have many reasons. So there's no right, wrong reason why women say. Um, but I think the major parts that are likened to one another is that they feel like, or we feel like we have nowhere else to go. Um, it's going to be hard doing this by yourself, living life by yourself. But one of the major things for me, and the reason why I stayed, was because I felt like I was, you know, gonna save him. I was gonna save him. I was gonna make him better. I was gonna be that thing that changed him, because I found out within the span of our relationship that I wasn't his first victim. And that's what all of the people who love him and admire him and wanted to believe that he was this great man didn't know. They don't some of them still probably don't know that I wasn't his first victim. He done this to other women. He talked down to his own daughters, you know, which should have been a red flag for me. But we stayed for different reasons, and what I would like for the audience and onlookers to know, and people who judge harshly either way, to understand that domestic violence is real. And oftentimes, I think it's a rare thing that a person would lie about being a victim of domestic violence. I think it's rare. I don't think it's. I don't think it's. I think it's a huge population of women who tell the truth. I think the population for a liar is very small. And what we need the most is not for someone to turn their backs on us, not for our family members to not come or continue, not for our friends to not continue checking up on us or calling us. If you know somebody with this journey ahead of them, or they're in the midst of the journey of domestic violence, be there for them. Even if they don't answer you back, you have to have the endurance. You have to have the willpower. If God really placed you in that person's life, you have to have the endurance to suffer along with them and let that person know that they are not alone. And you may not be answering me now, but when you get ready to come out of that mess, I'm going to be here for you. And God blessed me with some amazing people who did just that. Like my sister Nia, my brother John. I just can call out a whole bunch of people who went through this thing with me. And one of the things that got my attention was when my brother, John McClung, said to me, I'm scared that if you do not leave this man, he gonna kill you. Somebody gonna call me from your phone and tell me you're gone because of domestic violence. Because he pleaded with me all of the time to leave, but I did not have it within me, the strength within me. I loved him, and I wanted to save him. And I know my time is coming to an end, because I'm looking at the clock, because I will be on my own show in a few minutes on Triumph Over Trials with your girl, Lady Joy. So I'm going to stop right there. And if y'all want to catch me sharing some more, I'll be talking about red flags tonight. Please follow me on my page and join the conversation.
Give them the information about Drive Again and how they can get involved.
Drive Again is domestic relationships involving violence exposed. And you can get in touch with us. We have a page that we're building. We have some other platforms that we're building. But get in touch with me and share with me how you'd like to help, how you would like to help a sister, a mother, a daughter. We all know someone that's in the midst of domestic violence, and they need our help. They need someone that's standing in the gap for them. And that is what Drive is going to be. We're going to stand in the gap, and we're going to be that ally to the survivors.
Awesome. One of the last questions I had for you was about COVID-19 and asking, like, has it stifled the voices of victims of domestic violence right now?
Say that last part. You kind of got muffled.
Do you feel that COVID-19 has stifled the voices of so many dealing with domestic violence?
Oh, definitely. Yes, yes, yes. But you know what? Me personally, I'm not gonna let a little COVID virus, whatever sickness it is. I plead the blood. I want to pray for people that they get their mind out of the space of fear, because God is not giving us the fear of fear, but love, power, and of a sound mind. We just got to change our minds. We got to change that stinking thinking and jump higher than COVID-19. By all means, be protected. By all means, do what you have to do to stay well. But don't let fear grip your heart so much that it silences you. You can get on a platform, you can get on a Facebook Live, you can do an Instagram Live. There are ways to keep our voices heard. And that is what I am doing right now. I'm not going to let a little, I've seen sickness, I've seen the death doors, I've had a diagnosis of you will not live to this certain time, but praise be to God, I am still here. So as long as I have breath in my body, you're going to hear my voice.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lady Joy. I know you got to run into your own show. I appreciate you coming on for your wisdom, for your resilience, and for just being a voice for those who are voiceless at the moment.
Amen. Thank you for having me. I love being with you. I'm so disappointed that we didn't get to stay on live so I can see your beautiful face,
I
but let's
know.
connect here again soon. And you be blessed, my sister.
You too. Thank you so much. Okay, you guys, that was Lady Joy. Lady Joy, she had to go because she has to do her own show that's coming up in a couple of minutes. And I appreciate her coming on, just sharing her wisdom with us. She is a domestic violence survivor. She's also dealing with other health issues, but her passion right now is to be the voice for those who don't have a voice. And we know that when it comes to domestic violence, she talked about how women or people always talk about why they stay, why they didn't leave, just leave them. And a lot of times women don't leave, or individuals don't leave because it may be children. They may have children that is tied to that. The man may control all of the money. We talked about financial abuse is not just physical. So they may not have any money. He or she may be controlling all of the money, and they can't really get to it. They're tracking everything to where if you take something out of the bank, they know. So you're staying there because you feel like you don't have a voice. You feel like this person really is going to come through on those threats that they're doing every single day. And I thought about people who are Christians, how sometimes, the church frown on divorces. You talk about, oh, I'm getting a divorce. This man is beating on me. I'm getting a divorce. And they read you the Bible. Like the Bible doesn't say anything about if he beats you, you leave. It says something about, cheating, being unfaithful. It says nothing about beating. So, some people will talk you into staying, but it's your life. And I'm sure that God does not want his child to be beaten down like a dog by somebody. So think about God and not think about religion when it comes to what to do and if you want to stay or not. According to statistics, it takes women at least 7 times. They leave or try to leave at least 7 times before they actually leave. And it's not like 7 times in a row. It may be 7 times over a 2, 3 year period before they actually will leave their abuser. So when you ask that question, why didn't you just leave? Lady Joy just said she loved him. She loved him. And even though he was abusing her, she still loved him. And the people outside looking in, they looking at him like, he's this perfect gentleman. How could you? How could you say that about him? And I can remember, I want to say it was a year ago maybe, that she was going through this with her abuser, who was on Facebook on and when she would do her lives and stuff, he would be right there watching, trying to intimidate her not to speak out. So I really commend her for just opening her mouth and breaking the silence and not being afraid to let people know that you don't have to stay silent. You don't have to. That you don't have to be afraid or intimidated by someone who is violating you. Speak up and speak out. find somebody that you trust. And if somebody comes to you and they say, "Hey, I'm being abused," don't just be like, "Girl, get out of there. You got to get out." No, try to help them come up with a strategic plan. Put something in place, because if they leave, can they come live with you? Can you be security for them? So in case the guy or the girl come over there to try to get in contact with them, can you protect them? Do you have a place where they can go where they can be safe? Sometimes women or men, they have to leave town. They have to go somewhere else and start over. So you just can't say leave. There's a lot of things that come along with leaving. And it doesn't just involve you picking up and going to get another place to live, especially if this person is controlling everything. So be sensitive to someone if they're going through domestic violence, and be a listening ear. If you don't do anything else, be a listening ear. And when they say that they're ready to go, help them in any way that they can, because that's really what they're looking for. They're looking for somebody who's going to help them, because we always say, "Girl, I'm gonna help you, just call me." And a lot of times we're not there for people, but mean it. If you say you're going to help somebody, then be there for them when they call you. Do what you have to do to help them to get out of that situation, because it just may cost them their life. So we all know somebody who's going through domestic violence that may not be saying anything. So if you're outraged about somebody who's going through domestic violence, turn your outrage into action to see how you can help them, to see how you can help them get out safely. So if you know anybody or you yourself is going through domestic violence, you can call Anonymous Confidential and get help 24/7 at the National Domestic Violence Hotline, which is 1-800-799-7233 or 1-800-799-SAFE. We all know somebody who may be going through that may not be saying anything, but we probably all seen the signs of, the other person being controlling and isolating the other person, and you like, "Girl, I haven't seen you in a while," and you're wondering why, because the other person has her isolated so that that person cannot reach out and talk to anybody and tell them what's going on. So if you have family and friends who are going through it, be supportive of them. Don't blame them. Don't make them feel ashamed, but make them feel love, welcome, and that they really have a support system that they can depend on. So I appreciate you guys for listening, and I appreciate Lady Joy for sharing her story with us. Um, Domestic violence is serious. It's not just women, but it's men as well. Statistics say 1 in 4 women and 1 in 9 men go through domestic violence. And I think for men, they're even afraid to speak out because men are looked at as being weak. Like, how can you let another man beat on you? But they too can be a victim of domestic violence, and they should not. Um, it should be an atmosphere to where they can come out and say, that they've been abused and not feel like or be made ashamed of. So I appreciate you guys tuning in and just being vulnerable enough to listen. If you could do anything for the show or for anybody, just share this show out so that somebody else can get this life saving information and to know that domestic violence does not have to be the norm when it comes to your life, that you too can break the silence and you can get out. So I will leave you with these words of wisdom. Each time a woman stands up for herself without knowing it, possibly, without claiming it, she stands up for all women. And that's by Maya Angelou. So thank you so much for tuning in to Warriors Talk with author and founder Lady Rochelle. I'm going to be live next Monday right here on Intellectual Radio. And I'm so excited that this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Join me actually at 8 o'clock. I'm going to be doing breast cancer awareness facts for the next 31 days, or actually until October 31st. So you can join me to get those facts about breast cancer. So, as always, thank you for tuning in to Warriors Talk with author and founder Lady Rochelle, where we are changing lives one warrior at a time. See you next week.
Thank you for listening to this week's edition of Warriors Talk with Lady Rochelle. To find out more about Warriors Talk, follow at Warriors Talk, the number 1, on all social media outlets, and Warriors Talk with Lady Rochelle on YouTube. Please join us next week and every Monday evening at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time on IntellectualRadio.com for Warriors Talk with Lady Rochelle, where we encourage, educate, and empower you into action.